Hi you guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little personal, and it's going to be the first of the series of story time. So today I wanted to actually make a video explaining why I moved from Miami to the DMV. This one is a little personal because I feel like I owe a few people like a really great explanation. I've heard a lot of things, sort of like me running away from certain relationship problems I've had, to a whole wide of reasons why people think I actually moved, and I'm here to say that was not the reason. But to understand why I moved, I have to kind of rewind back to the past as to what led me here. So, in 2011, I graduated high school. I got accepted into the University of Florida. I was offered a full ride, and I attended. So, I remember within like my first 2 years or something like that, when my mom would still cry whenever I came home and left to go back to school. I remember having a conversation with my mom stating that I did not want to live or spend my adult life in Miami. Now, it's not to say that I hate Miami or how I was raised or where I was raised, because without Miami, there would be no me. I wouldn't be the person I am today if I had grown up anywhere else, and the things I've been through in my life. So, I'll just put that out there. I love home. I love my family. I love being around my friends, but sometimes certain things are not just for you. But back to the story. So in 2011, 2012-ish, I remember telling my mom that I was not planning on coming home post-graduation. And I was also in a relationship during this time, from 2011 to about 2014-ish. And me and this young man got into it a lot about me wanting to move away. He had children. He didn't want to miss out on, the steps of their life. And I understand that. But for me, that was a non-negotiable at that time. Amongst the many other things that happened in our relationship, because I'm going to do a video about why I'm single, but I will not go into details about that relationship. But one of the many things that broke us up, this one was one of the lesser things, was that I did not want to spend my life in Miami. So ultimately we broke up. I finished college. I went through I had a good year. Probably a little bit over a year while I was single. So for the first 3 years of college, I was in a relationship, trying to do everything the right way so I can make sure I could go out and, live my life in another state. And somewhere before graduation, right before graduation, I met this other young man. And I wouldn't say I met him. I know him for all my life. But we never dated. I never seen him in that aspect. But this time, things were different. So as we were discussing our relationship, discussing our friendship, because the relationship was not in question at the time. I told him about, my dreams. And the main thing I told him was that I did not want to live in Miami, just so that it could be at the forefront of the conversation. So if it would have grew into something more, it wouldn't have been like I led him on. So I remember graduating, driving from Florida to Georgia, because at that time my life, I just wanted to live in Georgia so bad. But I'm going on interviews, not getting jobs or not accepting jobs because they didn't offer the pay I would like. But ultimately, I ended up in Miami. And I know you're like, well, she said she didn't want to go to Miami. So why did she move post-graduation? Well, one of the many reasons why was some was because of family, some was just friends. And then I started thinking to myself, maybe I'm being a little bit too hard on myself about moving back home. Maybe I should give it a try to see if I will be able to grow in Miami the way I would like to. And then also at this time, me and this young man had became serious. And as me and my previous relationship, where me wanting to move played a big part in our demise, I didn't want to have like my strong will also, block me from something that I thought was going to take me a lot further. So although he was not one of my top reasons why I moved home, I did move home just to see if our relationship would have worked. So when I first got home, I worked at a family business where, I helped one of my uncles out with some notary and real estate closings that he did. And, it was okay until I realized, hey, I need to be making more money and I need benefits. So then I landed myself my first professional job post-college in October 2015 as a dependency case manager, and I will not say the company's names. But if you're in dependency in Miami and you would like to know where I worked and my opinions on it, you can gladly leave comments and send me messages, and I will gladly tell you about the company I work for. But nevertheless, dependency meant, for those who don't know it, that I worked in the child welfare system, meaning I worked with foster kids, foster families, parents of these children, and everyone else involved on the case. So this was my first job. And I took this job knowing that two of my cousins had told me not to get in this field. And me being hard-headed, I got into the field. So everything was, it was a job. I did my job. I came home. And not to say that I love the kids I work with. I love the families I engage. I love the things that I did. I love being in charge of my own schedule. However, I did not like being in charge of not being in charge of my own life. And that's how I felt working at that company as a dependency case manager, because I no longer had time for the people I moved back home for. I didn't have time for my family. I didn't have time for my friends. I didn't have time for my relationship. I would work long hours and most of the time get off at 11 o'clock, 12 a.m. the next day, and then have to be at work again. We also had work phones, work computers, which meant I worked on call pretty much all the time. And in my opinion, they had an on-call process, but I felt like on-call helped who they wanted or what they could. So pretty much you were on call for your own stuff. And a lot of the times that meant me working anywhere between 6 to 7 days a week, probably 70 to 80 hours a week, with no time to myself. I set goals. So with me moving to Miami, I kind of was hard on myself because I know how hard it is to fall into old habits when you move back into something familiar. So I set goals for myself that I would like to accomplish within a year of me being in Miami. And working that many hours a week, it was hard. It was hard balancing personal life, professional life, and goals. Like, it was very, very hard trying to do the two. On top of the fact that I felt like no matter what I did, I could not be as stable as I would like to be when in Miami. So, time passed, and I can't remember what month in 2015 or 2016 it was when I called my mom. Now, my mom knows me like the back of her hand, and she knows the difference from me calling and be like, hey, Mom, what you doing? I'm just checking on you. And me saying, hey, Mom, but I'm not telling her what's wrong, but she knows something is wrong. So this time, something was wrong. And we were, she gave me a fake conversation just to see if I would say it first until she finally asked me what's wrong. And I just bust out crying. And I was telling her how unsatisfied I was with my job. But what I really meant was how unsatisfied I was with my life at that time. Ooh, excuse me. So, my mom knows that I am not a big crier. Oh my god, I'm really crying. Hold on, you guys. Wait 1 second.
A few moments later.
Ooh, okay, excuse me. I am so sorry. But when I do talk about this, these are not like sad tears. These are tears of joy for me. But I was so unsatisfied with the way my life was going when I was living with Miami that it was taking an emotional toll on me. Like, I'm naturally skinny and I was losing more weight. And I just felt like I was losing myself. So, get it together, get it together, get it together, get it together. So I remember my mom asking me what did I want to do. And I told her I would rather wash dishes in someone's restaurant before I am really crying. I told her, excuse me, God. I told her I would wash dishes in someone's restaurant and be an Uber driver before I live my life another day like this. And I had some own personal things going on at the time that I do not feel comfortable sharing with myself and in my relationship. But ultimately, my job was draining me. Like, I never, ever been through nothing like that. And I refuse to let something take a hold of my life as such as what that job did to me. But, back so I could probably stop crying. So I think like maybe a month or two passed. I had told my mom in that conversation as well that I think that I need to maybe start applying back to jobs out of state because I see that living in Miami is really not working for me. And it was maybe somewhere between early July and early August where I had a conversation with the young man I was dating. And I remember we were at Red Lobster because I really wanted biscuits. And I told him face to face that I was going to start applying for jobs. Now, I know he wanted to tell me hell no, and he wanted to tell me a lot of things. But he didn't. He told me to do what made me happy. Even though I know that he didn't want me to go anywhere. But nevertheless, I applied for jobs and I was flying myself out to these interviews. And I was interviewing. And I also applied to another job in Miami just to be on the safe side, to maybe saying, maybe it's just a job or anything like that. But I applied to a few jobs in Miami and jobs in Texas, California, New York, in the DMV area. And so, certain jobs got back to me where I did phone interviews, I did face-to-face, I've done video interviews for me being out of state. I was doing it all, and it kind of happened faster than I thought. So, around August, I got a call from the job I currently work now, which I will not say, but it's located in Northwest Washington, D.C. And they called me asking me if I'll be able to fly in for an interview. And it was like a Monday, and they wanted me to be there Wednesday and Thursday. Luckily, my supervisor at my job in Miami was, flexible, and I did kind of all my work. And I took off randomly just in the week, and I flew up here to stay with a friend who lived in Alexandria, Virginia, and used her car, used resources that I had from friends that I know, and we made it happen. And so me sitting in the interview actually went really well. That I felt very good about the job. Well, I had to fly back. I could not really stay because I had to fly back because I had an interview in Miami the next day. So I actually interviewed for both jobs, and they both went well. And ultimately, I got offered both jobs, and I had to choose: stay home, move out of town. And I actually got the job in Miami first. I heard back from them first. And one thing I did not mention was when I reached my breaking point, I put in a month's notice at my job in Miami without having any job lined up because I couldn't take it anymore. So when it was getting closer to the time where my last days were approaching, I was contemplating taking the job in Miami because I hadn't heard from the job in DC, and they were offering similar amount of money. I had more resources home because I had more of my supports in Miami, but I just something that fell through because it was not meant for me to be in Miami. So ultimately, I got into a horrible car crash on the same day I found out I got the job in DC. And also, my little cousin was born, and she is so gorgeous. So we were all in the same hospital. I was in the emergency room, and she was in labor delivery. But it was a joyous day for me because sitting in that hospital room and getting that email saying that I had got this job when I desperately wanted to have a new environment, it changed my whole mood. But if you haven't gotten the gist of why I moved because in Miami I felt like I had no control over my life. I had a job that was draining me in every way possible, and in that job, it took so much away from me that I didn't realize it until I moved, that I would have never been able to grow in that company personally, professionally, emotionally, nothing. The job stunted my growth, my overall growth so bad that talking about it almost a year later, still gets me choked up because I never wanted to feel that way about myself ever again. The reason why I said earlier that some people think that I moved due to some relationship problems with the young man I was with was because we were actually not in a good place when I moved for a lot of reasons, and he knows why, and we're going to leave it at that. But he was in no way, shape, or form, what we had going on influenced anything about me moving. He tried to be supportive, although I know he did not want to be, because I know in his mind he felt like I just up and left him. And I didn't. It was something he knew before we got together. It was something I talked about while we were together, and it was something that, he ultimately knew that my heart was not into living in Miami. But the only apology I owe to him is I'm sorry it happened so fast. I'm sorry that we didn't have time to, get closure in the situation. And I'm sorry that you feel like I abandoned you. My family, no. They knew for a long time that living in Miami just wasn't the right fit for me, and they were supportive. In terms of my move, I wouldn't have been able to do it without my mom and my sister. They supported me financially, emotionally. Whew. But to say, maybe so I can stop crying. Moving has been the best thing that I could have done.
Aww.
Woo, my God. But yes. Moving for me was so therapeutic. I feel like a brand new woman. Like, that's the only way I can describe it. I haven't been this happy in so long.
2,000 years later.
I think I got myself together now. But as I was saying, moving has made me a better woman in every state, like in every mental, physical, in everything. Like, I haven't been this happy in a very long time. I haven't been this confident in myself in a very long time. I haven't loved myself this much in a very long time. And if I had to do it again, oh God, I'm me crying. If I had to do it again, I would have moved sooner. Oh my God, my makeup. I'm me crying. It's a mess, y'all. Excuse me. I started this, and I was beat. Now I'm all ugly, but I still get emotional when I talk about this because I had never been so low in my life. I'd never been that low at the account of myself and the choices I made that I thought would better me, and to have that feeling, that it hurt. It hurt like hell. Now, I'm not going to say that, everyone is going to understand why I move. People are like, I don't give a damn. People move every day. But this move for me, like, I've met some people who are more loyal to me than than some of the people I've known all my life. The personality of people here is so much different, especially in the professional realm. They're so helping. Where in Miami, they live in this crab in a barrel mentality where you fighting this fight by yourself. And up here is so assuring to know that I have people behind me that believe in me. That's not my family. I was saying I have people up here who believe in me that aren't necessarily my family, but I've built a family up here with them. And oh, my dog is jumping up on me because he sees me crying. Oh my God. Y'all, say hi to my little Yorkie. He needs a haircut really bad, but his name is Chinks. No, don't lick me. My makeup already look a mess. But like I was saying, we built a family. We ride together. They have been more than supportive, and we do this in return. But in terms of me moving back home, it will. Oh gosh, stop licking me before I kick you off my lap. But in terms of me moving back home, I'm not opposed to it later in life, just not while I'm trying to figure it out. I feel like if you are a young professional, Miami is not the place to build. Miami is a place you go when you're already established. The jobs are not there. The salaries are not there to match the cost of living, which is like a national problem at this point. But for me, it was just so easy to fall back into that hood mentality. Like, I haven't always been this well put together. I haven't always been this well versed. I haven't always been this educated. I have not. And it was so easy for me to fall back into the things that I were instead of falling into who I wanted to become. So, ultimately, this is why I moved. And if, oh my God, I like my life in the DMV area, and I have not decided if this is where I will be long term, but for right now, this is where I would like to stay for at least the next 2 or 3 years to figure out if this is my last stop. I used to always want to move to California, but I'm not too sure just yet because I am terrified of earthquakes. But if I say this, and I make this video, I guess, to say, if you have something that you've always wanted to do, it could be to go and learn how to do an oil change. It could be to, do something simple. It doesn't have to be wanting to move out of a state. If in your life you feel unfulfilled, and that always runs in the back of your mind, do it. Because we only get one life. And we all don't know when it will end. And the last thing you want to take to your grave is what if. And now I know the answer to my what if. And the answer to my what if has brought me so much happiness that I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. But before I start crying again, I'm going to say thank you for watching this video, and I hope you watch more videos to come. Subscribe, as I always say, leave comments below. And on that note, thank you for watching Simply Shonie. This is why I moved.